Hi and welcome to this new tutorial in which I'll teach you about the reduce function or method of the array prototype. So let's discover this together. If you see in the left side of my screen, I have a JavaScript function, a JavaScript file, which is called reduce.js. This is in my local folder, documents, and on the right side I have a terminal. And you might be wondering why I have a terminal open. So I'm going to evaluate the JavaScript in this file inside the terminal. For example, if I type console.log hello, save it, I can execute the JavaScript in this file instead of having to use repl.it, which now that I think it will be better, but let's use Node for example. It says hello here, and if I console.log the scores, which is an array that I'm going to be using to exemplify how the reduce works, it outputs the array. So this is what I'm going to be using, so don't feel strange about it. Okay, so what does the reduce function do? Now, the reduce function works as either an accumulator or a comparator between the current item that it's being iterated over and the previous item that is before the current item. But reduce works in a certain way. So the first time reduce invokes, or the first time the callback is invoked, the current item will be the second in the array, and the previous value is going to be the first item. So the callback is going to return something after processing these two items. And during the next iteration, the current is going to be the third item, and the previous is going to be whatever the function returned after processing these two items. So it's going to run the total of items in the array minus 1. So I have 7 items here, and the loop will only be run 6 times because I'm taking the current item as if it were this one and not this one. So for example, let's say I want to compare which of these scores is the greatest of them all. It's clear that this one is the greatest with 466, and this is the lowest. So you may think of an algorithm like, if this item is greater than this one, I want to store it in a variable called greatest, and keep looping over the array. And if this item is greater than the largest, or the variable that I said it was the greatest, then change the value of the greatest variable for this. And if it's not, let's keep the variable as the value that was before. So let's keep it intact and move on until the very end of the array. We have a winner or greatest value. We can also check for the lowest value using the greater than or lower than. But we're going to use the reduce function or method to do this easily. Let's say I have the scores array. We access the method called reduce, and the reduce accepts a callback. So let's say function, and the callback accepts 3 items, which is the item, the index, and the array. We're not going to, actually I'm I'm mistaken. It accepts the current value, the previous, and the array. Let's check the documentation. But these two are the most important because we're going to work with these two values. Okay, let's open up JavaScript. Methods, the array prototype, the redos function, and you see the callback accepts the previous, the current, the index, and the array as in the other functions. Also, it accepts an initial value and is optional. It's going to be used as the first argument for the first call of the callback. So if you find this useful, for example, let me think. Oh, okay, so the current is going to be the initial value instead of this one, I think. But for this example, let's just keep it simple, and inside the function, we have to return a value. So I have a current value of 456 and the previous value of 100. Let's just keep cur and prev as this the sum of. It's most common to see cur and prev instead of cur value. Sorry about that. And we need to return. First, we compare. Okay, for this example of greatest value in the array, if the current item is greater than the previous value, I want to return the current value. And if not, sorry, this is a question mark, the previous value. So for example, the first time this redos function executes, I mean the callback function, the first current value is going to be 456, and the previous is going to be 100. So is 456 greater than 100? Yes, so I return this value. During the next iteration of the callback, current is going to be 123 and the previous is going to be not this one. Well, in theory, yes, but it's going to be whatever was returned by the callback. If I switch this, previous won't be this, but this because it was returned by the callback before the second iteration. So let's keep it as it was. During the next iteration, current is going to be 286 and previous is going to be still 466 because of this comparison, and so on and so on and so on. No number here is greater than this, but for example, I were to have 1,000 in one of the comparisons, I'll return 1,000 because it's greater than this one, and then when I reach this value, the comparison is going to keep returning this one over and over again. And at the end of the iterations, I'm going to be left with a single value, which is going to be this, because there are no more values to compare. So the result of this is going to be this. We can also, let me console.log and store it in a variable. Greatest score, and we will also console.log the sum of the scores, which is going to be a fairly huge number. So the sum of the scores was this. We haven't created this yet, but we're going to go var sum of scores equal score.reduce callback. So let's be more semantic here, we can say core score, prev score, and this method is going to be, sorry I mistyped, is scores as in the array. This is going to work as an accumulator in contrast of this one, which worked as a comparator. So let's say return core plus prev. Like so. So what's going to happen is the first iteration is going to be current score is 456 points and the previous is going to be 100 points. So, okay, I have those values stored in these variables, and I'm going to return the sum of these two values, which is I think 556. So let's keep a record of the iteration solved. So the first is going to be first iteration. Current value is going to be 456, prev 100, and the return value is going to be 556. During the next iteration, current is going to be the next one, which is 123. The prev is going to be whatever the previous iteration returned in the callback. So now the callback is going to sum these values and is going to then return 679. And it will keep doing this until we're left with a single value, which is the sum. And let's console that log out. So the greatest score was 456 as we predicted, and the sum of the scores is 1525. So we have our values correct, nothing was mistaken. So if you understand what reduce is doing, well, good for you, but I'm going to create a video explaining how to create your own reduce function. It's going to be a little complex at first, but you're going to make sure you fully understand what reduce is doing. This is one of the most powerful functions or methods on functional programming in general. Most of the complex algorithms can be solved with reduce. And to finish this video, let's show you a funny tweet I found while browsing Twitter yesterday. So let's check. I think it was okay. This is tweet by Steve Lusher. Says, okay, this is the map, filter, and reduce in a tweet. So map, I have a corn, I have a cow, a chicken, and I have a callback called cook. So if I cook these items, I'm going to get popcorn, a hamburger, and a fried egg. So filter. If I have popcorn, a hamburger, and a fried egg, so I only want those foods that are consumed by vegetarians. So I will only get the corn and this one because this is meat. Vegetarians can eat meat. So then we chain the method again to reduce. We receive these ones and we're going to eat them. So what happens when we eat? Well, we digest and we poop. So this is I think one of the best explanation of these methods here. If you have any question, feel free to leave in the comment section and see you in the next lesson.